Now, the demographic dividend is the economic growth potential that can result from shifts in a population's age structure. The United Nations Population Fund says countries with the greatest demographic advantages for development are those entering a period in which the working age population will have a low proportion of young dependents and the benefits of good health. Among other things, youth are about half of the population of sub-Saharan Africa. Population observers say ensuring the well-being of young people in Africa is critical, and tackling diseases like HIV/AIDS are some key steps to ensuring their well-being. Globally, demographic dividend is pivotal for achieving the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. A high-level dialogue will take place this Friday at the United Nations headquarters in New York City on strengthening partnership with the private sector to accelerate the demographic dividend. Joining us live via Skype from the United Nations in New York for more is Mabingué Ngom, UNFPA Regional Director for the West Africa and Central Africa region. Mr. Ngom, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you.
So a high-level meeting is scheduled tomorrow to look into the demographic dividend. Can you tell us about what is on the agenda?
Well, thank you very much. I think the entire idea of the dialogue we will have tomorrow here in New York is all about bringing the top leaders of the continent with the private sector, the business sector, and young people to engage on this very issue of the demographic dividend. So it's about making sure that the private sector is not left behind as we engage the entire actors, to support the 2030 agenda. As you know, we will not be able to make progress on achieving the 2030 agenda or making similar progress with regard to the Africa we want or Agenda 2063 unless we harness the demographic dividend and make sure that, Africa banks on its youthful population.
So, Mr. Ngom, a lot of people still have difficulty grasping the concept of the demographic dividend. Some people even think that it's population control. What can you tell us about this and the simplest way? How do we understand this?
No, I think we have made a lot of progress in terms of popularizing and domesticating the concept of demographic dividend. Of course, it's not about population control. It's not also...
Yes, go ahead.
No, it's not about population control. It's not about limiting the number of children women will have, but it's all about making sure that we have conducive policies that are convergent, that will help, family enjoy a better life, but also help, governments, and all partners, I think, to enjoy a better life.
So what are some of the key drivers in achieving the demographic dividend, and to what extent is health an important part of this?
No, I think the key drivers are, as you rightly said, health, education, employment, but also good governance. Health, because no country will be able to harness the demographic dividend unless you experience what we call, an accelerated demographic transition that is all about, a decrease in maternal mortality, decrease in infant mortality that will help, bring down the number of children women will have. If you achieve this progress, step forward, you will be able to enjoy, kind of saving that may be used for investment, and this will allow, communities to be, in a position to create jobs, to provide services to the population, but also to make sure that, the public expenditure related to the social demand are much lower, so they can invest more in the quality of services. So the improvement of the well-being of communities, of individuals and families will follow that process.
And how does the private sector come in?
Well, as I said, it's really a very ambitious enterprise. And a good example is what happened in Asia. Some years ago, they got between 1/3 and 1/2 of their growth from investment in harnessing the demographic dividend. So such an enterprise cannot be achieved unless you have very strong partnership with religious leaders, a partnership with young people themselves, partnership with government inside countries. So you understand why we need to have the private sector, not only because of the fiscal space additional it present, but also their knowledge and their ability to get things done. So by bringing the private sector on board, I think we will ensure that we have a greater leverage, we have a greater learning opportunity, and we have, a greater potential in terms of making sure that we get where we should be by 2030.
So before we wrap, what will it take to achieve the goal by 2030?
Well, I would say that it will require investment in health, especially family planning. This is important. Second, we need to make greater progress in terms of gender equality, because no country, no society, no community can make progress if half or more than half of the population is left behind or not treated properly. Number three, you will need also to invest in education, greater education, especially girl education. And as I alluded before, you will need also to have much better governance, much better policy environment, so that you can have a convergence around all of the many sectors that will have to move in this same.
Okay, Mr. Mabingué Ngom.
So we can enjoy demographic dividend in Africa.
Thank you so much. We have to leave it there. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.